Good evening, everyone. I think people are still joining in, so
Very good
that's
evening.
fine. Very good evening, Bella. Lovely to see you. And Mamta, thank you so much for being here and always encouraging everyone around. So,
Thank you so much.
so today is a very special topic, and I know people are going to filter in a little later. So I'm just carrying out this casual conversation right now. But when we start, it's going to have such enormous effects on all of us to understand what the topic is trying to tell us today. Teaching, teachers are a very dignified, very respected, very essential community for the development of our children. And it becomes so much so that sometimes we rely a little too much on them that they will take care of it, they will teach our children everything apart from the learning that they have to do as part of the course material or whatever else they have to learn. The expectations that we have from our teachers is very high. And when the same teacher turns around and asks you, have you taken care of what the child is doing? Have you taken interest in what they are learning? Do you know what all they are involved in? Sometimes there are embarrassing faces, and I'm sure most teachers will agree with it. So, why not have somebody come today to teach us, or rather inform us, what parenting is all about? Everything is not about just the teaching part of it. There is a parenting angle which needs certain skills, certain arts. So, it's like an art that we have to master if we want our children's development to be holistic and complete. Putting it very bluntly, we can't dump everything on the teachers, correct? So, what better way than to have a specialist, Suma H.R., who is going to speak to us today about parenting, which is an art and skill to master. Who is Suma? Suma is a highly experienced and passionate educator and a postgraduate in chemistry. With 18 years of valuable experience in CBSE schools, she has served as a teacher, coordinator, vice principal, and currently holds the position of principal at Nurture International School in Bangalore. Her dedication to holistic development and her expertise in planning and executing programs for students have made her a respected leader and team member. Interestingly, she was introduced to Redikall by our very dear Mamta Honavar, and she attests to it completely in the form that it is life transforming, the impact it had on her life, allowing her to embrace her fears, strengths, and weaknesses with neutrality. So, mastering her own skills of the profession that she is in, coupled with the beautiful aspects of Redikall, she has created a even better holistic picture maybe for her students and for others around her. So Suma's talking today to us about parenting, as I said, an art and skill to master. And she will share her insights on nurturing positive environments, building strong bonds, guiding children effectively, and balancing love and discipline in parenting. Her talk promises to offer valuable strategies for fostering emotional intelligence and resilience in children while navigating the challenges of modern day parenting. Thank you so much, Suma, for joining. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to Circle of Peaceful Progress platform. It is all yours now.
Thank
Love to
you.
hear from you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Good evening to one and all who are there in this session. Ma'am gave me a very beautiful introduction about myself. I'm very happy to hear uh, with multiple aspects or multiple dimensions of myself, which were introduced in my introduction. Very glad to be with you all today, this evening. Being in this field, I think I would like to take this opportunity to just share few things what I have maybe gathered over the years as a teacher, as a mentor, as a parent also, and most importantly, as a Redikall student, and how Redikall has helped me both professionally and personally, right? So this is what I would like to share with you all today. Now, when most of us have already embraced the parenthood, or some of us may be on the journey of being the parents, right? So how many of us have taken time to understand what type of parent we are? Have we ever tried to reflect what sort of a parent I am? Because generally, when we categorize, right? So be it our kid or be it anybody for that matter, being generally it is very easy to categorize people. This person is like this person is like this. But how many of us have made an effort to look back and introspect and question ourselves? Okay, parent to ban gaye, but kaisa parent hai? What sort of parent am I, right? So all of us are familiar with the words called authoritative parents and authoritarian parents, right? When you listen to both the words, they strike to be very similar, authoritative and authoritarian, right? Deeper down is the understanding how different they are, right? Authoritative is something which being an authoritative parent will make your child very, what I should say is that will make your child very confident. You being an authoritative parent, you create a two-way communication for your child, which boosts the confidence and the self-esteem of your child, and the child believes in himself or herself. That style of parenting is called authoritative parenting. Whereas authoritarian, as the word itself says, as I pronounce the word, you can see the voice modulation, authoritarian, right? There comes me. You are just going to listen to me. There is no room for two-way communication at all. When the child tries to relate with the parent, or when the child tries to establish that connect with the parent, there is absolutely no room for the child. That becomes an authoritarian parent. So you, being an authoritarian parent, you completely close all the possible channels of communication, what your child would love to have with you on whatsoever reason. For it might be the simplest reason, but still all communication channels are closed, right? So once we embrace this parenthood, I think all of us dream to be parents, right? So some of us embrace parenthood willingly. Some may not embrace parenthood willingly. Some maybe because of society, or some because of varied reason, XYZ reason. Okay, finally we say that, okay, chalo, parent ban gaye. Yeah, we became parents, but what was the source from which we became parent? That is also very important, because I think that source has a greater impact on your child in the future, right? Because if I'm not happy being a parent, the same unhappiness is going to disseminate to my child, and the impact of that is on the child, right? So knowing what sort of parents we are and why do we want to become parents is very, very important, and the first step which all of us need to introspect. Now today, most of us are working, right? Be it the father, the mother, most of the parents in the family, they are working. Most of us are in metropolitan cities, or even in a small town or a bigger town. Most of us are working. We have our own professional life to take care of, right? So most of the parents, when I meet as a principal or when I have met them as a teacher, a very simple thing what I get to hear from the parent is, Mom, I don't have time. And this word comes from the parent's mouth right when the child is in front of them. The child will be right in front of the parent and the parent says, I don't have time. So we need to watch our words when we present ourselves in front of the children, because the child is listening to you and the child comes to know that my parents don't have time for me. Right? So when the child feels that my parents are telling that they don't have time for me, the child feels abandoned actually. The child feels left out. The child feels I'm of nothing. My existence, the existence of the child itself becomes a big question mark for the child. When there is an existence crisis, the question of there is no point for the child to have a relationship with the parent or be with the friends or be with the teachers, because the child undergoes an existence crisis. Who am I? The child starts questioning, right? So we need to be very careful as when we step into parenthood, when we become parents, we need to be very careful of what we are talking to our children. It's I know it's not easy every time having a tab on our emotions, right? Having to have a introspection every time. It's not an easy task. At times we too are humans, right? Parents is, yes, definitely parent is one hat that we are wearing. That's not completely life. We too are individuals, we too are humans, we have our emotions, we have our frustrations, we have anger, right? At times, yes, we do, we don't have control at times, right? And we just throw it across to our children because most of us feel that our children are punching bags. Okay, I am irritated at work. I go back and I shout at the child. Child comes, Mommy, I have to show you something. Okay, we don't even listen to them. We just give away what frustration we had at work, or maybe what fight we had with the husband the late night or the previous night. So everything, the child is at the receiving end. So let's understand that the child is also an individual, whether a 2-year-old, whether a 3-year-old, whatever the age might be, immaterial of the age, the child deserves respect. That's what I tell the parents, and I also tell the teachers, because sometimes I do get to hear from my teachers across when I meet them in different platforms. They do say, oh, the children nowadays are very arrogant. Children nowadays are, they have a lot of pride. They have a lot of ego. We need to understand that there is a thin line between being egoistic and commanding self-respect. There is a thin line which as grown-up individuals we need to understand. When a child demands self-respect, or when the child demands respect from elderly people, be it teachers or be it parents, we cannot just shun away from the child stating that you are egoistic. No, that doesn't happen. The child is just demanding respect. You can't say that, how can you do that? How can you ask that? No, that yes, the child is an individual and child needs to be respected. We can't just judge the child based on a particular situation. Most of the times we end up doing that. I have done as a parent, and until I was introduced to Redikall. Until I was introduced to Redikall, I have done it as a parent. I have categorized my child, right? Which somewhere I went on the guilt journey also. Later, when I realized what a blunder as a parent I have done, that was again a journey back for me on guilt, right? So that's fair enough to learn, because parenting is all about relearning your own life. Nothing more than that describes what parenting is. You are reliving your life, you are relearning about your life. That is what all parenting is about. Today most of the parents feel, as I told, it's very challenging, because that too, with too many distractions for the children. There is technology, there is peer pressure, right? And we have provided them earlier when we were children. For us it was more of what to say, need. It was right, need. Now we have elevated to the wants have become luxury, right? We have provided everything to our children, which we maybe we have not got as children, or we might have got it at a lower proportion. And when we are providing, look at the condition what we provide to the children also. We provide to the children everything. And instead of teaching them how to use it, we tell them, how do we put it across to the children? I did not have this. I have given it to you. Children never demanded. Children never asked us, right? The children never asked us that I need to go in a four-wheeler. But we felt that when my parents, I was raised by my parents, we had a two-wheeler at home. I always felt that we should have a four-wheeler at home. Now, when I become a parent, I gave four-wheeler, I brought a four-wheeler at home and I'm giving it to my child. That is a luxury which I'm giving it to my child. But look at the condition with what I'm giving. We are making the child feel guilty for receiving also. Instead of child enjoying what he or she is going to get, the child is going to go on a guilt journey again. I didn't get it, I gave it to you. How about teaching the child that when I was a child, I did not have all these things, but we are fortunate enough today that we have got all these things. Let's thank, getting a pinch of gratitude in the child's growing up, right? So we can tell we need to be thankful to the Almighty that the Almighty has raised our living standard and today we are able to afford that. So that's how we teach that value of gratitude in the child and then put it across to the child. Yes, you have this facility. Now it is up to you how you are going to utilize it. That is where you make children responsible for their life or for the things at home or for their belongings. Most of the time I get to hear from the parents, bacha sunta nahi hai. He or she doesn't listen to me. They don't keep their things properly. The things are thrown here and there. The room is a chaos, right? Why does this happen? Why do you think generally it happens? Generally, this happens because children observe and learn. If you give them lectures for hours together, it doesn't sink into their mind. They never think that it needs to be followed. But day in, day out, they observe you as parents. They observe us as teachers. And that is where they pick up things. Let's say, for example, if as a parent, if I am engrossed in my mobile, let's say any electronic gadget, day in, day out, and I'm having my food, watching something on the mobile or something on the TV or something on the laptop, but I sit on the sofa and order my kid that turn off the TV. This is meal time. The kid is not going to listen to us. Not possible at all, because the kid is seeing me, what I am doing. So in most of the cases, kids learn by observing us, be it parent, be it teachers. So our actions have a greater impact on children than what we speak. But unfortunately, we are investing more energy on speaking than demonstrating it through our actions. Right? So most of our energy is, rather than getting invested, it is getting wasted. When I use the term invest, I would like to add on one more point over here. Most of us as parents, we say, I spent this much on your education. I spent this much for your, per se, music class. I spent this much on your karate class, taekwondo class. It is always the child gets to your spend, right? So the child also starts thinking, oh my God, my parents are spending so much. So that means the child's focus will also be only on returning it back to you. The child will not focus on how am I going to return back to my parents? Are my parents focusing on returning because they are spending, they are mentioning only on spending, right? All of us are very familiar with the word income and expenditure. If somebody is telling us that this is only expenditure, I'm spending on you, definitely the children think that, okay, they again, the stress grows on in the children's mind. How am I going to repay back to this, to my parents? The child may not vocally tell you, the child might not vocalize and tell you, but definitely the thought process happens in all the children, whether the child is academically good, whether the child has a high IQ or a low IQ, it doesn't make any difference. All children think. They definitely think. Only thing is, Some of them may be outspoken. They will outrightly express it to you, whereas some of them may not. But definitely the thought process happens. The child thinks, if my parents are spending so much on me, because they get to hear the word spend, right? So how am I going to return this? Again, the stress builds in for the child. Let's remember, all of us, including me, whatever profession we are in, whatever role we are playing in, we cannot utilize our fullest potential when we are working in a stressful environment. It's not going to give, we will never be able to deliver our best. So how about, again, this view of parenting came to me when I started the course of Redikall. This view of how the positive impact of words, the impact of positive words, the positive reinforcement, how it is going to enable your child to take up the challenges of life, that I came to know once I stepped in as a Redikall student. And I take this opportunity to thank Mrs. Mamta Honavar over here, because of whom I was introduced to Redikall. Thanks to Aatmn ma'am for having this beautiful course, which is helping multiple people in multiple parts of the globe, right? So it is actually making our journey much more easier. I don't say that once you pick up Redikall, everything will be a easy ride. No, there are cases where things are going to rebound. They are going to lapse back. They are going to relapse. That's where again you start thinking. That's where again you start, okay, this is time again for me to work on myself as an individual. Even after doing level 1 and level 2, there are many cases even today when I speak to Mrs. Mamta Honavar, ma'am tells me, Suma, this is the place where you need to work upon, right? So at least now I know that, yes, there is a guidance and there is no harm in taking the guidance and the help, which earlier I was not open to. Being an individual, I was not open for that. But now I'm open to that. Now why did this happen? This happened because I saw through the actions, right? The positive reinforcement. It was not only about words. I was able to see the shift in my life. And that shift we can bring in the lives of our children only when we use positive words and positive reinforcement. Instead of making the child feel guilty for what he or she is getting in life, how about making them feel empowered that, yes, my parents are providing me this. How about me making a vision or having a goal for life where I can be a channel or a source for somebody to help, right? So that's how we need to train our children. Rather than telling them that I'm spending on you, we need to tell them, you know what, I'm investing on you. And I'm investing on you, and the returns, how would I like to see the returns? I would like to see the returns as you grow as an empowered individual, right? Because you need to be empowered, because if you need to empower somebody, first you need to be empowered. Most of the time what happens as parents, we have our own baggages. We carry our own baggages. For example, if I have to tell you in this forum, when I was stepping into my parenthood, the only thought what I had, to be very honest, is I should be a better mother than my mother. That was the thought that started building in my mind the day I came to know I was on my family way. Now, when I say I should be better than my mother, can you see the source from which I'm becoming a parent? Right? The source with which I started my parenthood is more of being competitive, more of not acknowledging or respecting my mother as an individual. Because I'm telling I need to be better than somebody. I need not be better than somebody. I need to be who I am. That's where the concept of integrity comes in. That is where Redikall helps you to integrate all parts of you. There are multiple dimensions what we have as a person, right? So that integrity is very important. That grounding is very important. Without integrity, without grounding, we will not be able to deliver, or we will not be able to play the role, be it any role, be it the role of a sister, be it the role of a wife, be it the role of a mother, anything. We will not be able to play that role effectively unless and until we are we have accepted all parts of ourselves, right? So that's how my journey as a mother started, right? And later, when I went on with this course and I realized with practice, I was able to understand how much damage has been caused. I could really see through the damage, right? Somewhere that notion of I need to be better than my mother created, what I should say, it created a gap between me and my child, because I always intended to be better than somebody. I never tried to be who I am. I think if I would have tried to be who I am, or I not rather than tried, if I would have been who I am, I think the gap would be minimal, I would say, or it may not even existed, right? So let's be who we are rather than, that's the reason I said with what source we become parents is very, very important, right? So let's use the terms like we are investing on you. We are not spending for you. Let's not make the children guilty for getting certain things in life. Yes, they are worth of it. They are getting it. As parents, as teachers, our only role is to make them critically analyze that when certain things are given to you, how to make use in specific for yourself and for a greater good in general. That is where we need to teach our children. That is where we make our children, I don't know whether to call it as assets of the society, or I would better put it across as we make them better empowered individuals, right? So they are ready to give people. If I have to give you an example, Akshaya Patra, right? Akshaya Patre, all of you know, that was able to give people because it had the capacity to refill itself or fill itself, right? So when I am empty, there is no point. I'll not be able to give anything to my child as a parent. So when will I be full? I'll be full when I'm open to learning, when I am ready to introspect, when I am ready to integrate all parts of me, and I am ready to accept my strengths and weaknesses. There is no harm in accepting in front of your child that I am good at this, but you know, you are better than me in this. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. That is okay. Absolutely okay. Because most of the parents I get to hear, ma'am, they generally say, ma'am, if I appreciate, most of the parents operate with fear. They say, ma'am, if I appreciate, from next day, he or she doesn't listen to me at all. Or they literally start dancing on my head. This is what I get to hear from the parents. Now, can you imagine, even if the parent is appreciating, the parent is appreciating from the source of fear. And all of us, I think all of you will agree with me, we manifest our thoughts. We literally manifest our thoughts, and that's what we are going to reap and harvest also. So we need to be very careful on what we are sowing, because that is what is going to be our harvest. So manifestation definitely happens. If I have to give you my example, 100% I can tell you, whatever I think or whatever I feel with that positive thoughts, I can see things happening in life with ease, in a very easy manner. So what you think, your thought process, there need to be clarity, right? In a thought process, definitely our thoughts are going to manifest. So that's where you need to tell the children, it's okay to appreciate children. And at the same time, it is also okay to correct the children when they are wrong. Children need to know. Children need to know to take a yes also. They should learn to take a no also. Every time it cannot be an yes, and every time it cannot be a no. Right? So children need to know that, yes, my parents are there in agreement with certain things. And when they are not in agreement with certain things, they are open to discuss. Most of us, what we feel is we feel that we are grown up, we are experienced, And with all little bit of expertise what we have and the borrowed beliefs and all, we feel that there is no need for children to reason out. There is no need for a chance for a child to be given a chance to explain. Why not? What is wrong in that? Because unless and until you give a chance for the child to explain, how is the child going to learn what needs to be, what is acceptable and what is not acceptable? I'm carefully using the word acceptable and not acceptable. I'm not using the word right or wrong, because right or wrong again is a perception. What seems to be right for me may seem to be wrong for somebody else, right? And what seems to be right for them may seem to be wrong. So we need to tell the children what's acceptable and what is not acceptable. And let us not just tell them this is something which is not acceptable. No, you don't end it with a full stop. There must be some room for discussion. If it is not acceptable, why is it not acceptable? Because I feel unless and until we tell the children, we make the children aware why it is not acceptable, this cycle will repeat again. For example, if I have to give you an example, if you have a kid at home who is highly kinesthetic, right? So wants medals with all the things at home. You have a constant fear where he or she will switch on the gas burner, what experiment they will do with the electric socket, all these things, right? So unless and until you make the child aware why it shouldn't be done and when it can be done, how is the child going to learn? We cannot just say you're not supposed to touch that. Most of us tend to do that. We just pass a statement, you are not supposed to do that. But why am I not supposed to do that? Unless and until I know that, I'll not be able to think on that. When we tell the child why he or she is not supposed to do that, then the child's thought process begins. The child starts thinking, okay, mommy said this, teacher said this. Why am I not supposed to do that? At least the child will start thinking. And there are fair chances that the child understands that and the child doesn't do it next time. Possibility is there. I don't say that completely they will stop doing. Maybe after this exercise also, once or twice they may try. But still, at least there is something in their mind going on. Okay, mommy has said this, teacher has said this. Okay, let me see. Let me not do this. At least they will give a try. With my experience, I can tell you, because when I meet the students and when I tell them why a particular schedule is needed, why you need to not to be what I should say, you shouldn't be using gadgets a lot. When I give an explanation and when I keep it open for discussion, I have seen changes happening in the children. Please be open to discuss anything with your child, irrespective of the age. Most of the time, we don't allow children to speak, telling that you are very young, you will know later. How will the child know when we are not allowing him or her to speak at the young age, right? And as parents, when it comes to parenting, when I meet parents as a principal or as a teacher, as Aarti ma'am rightly said in the starting, that teacher is a teacher. Teacher can play the role of a teacher only. Teacher cannot play the role of a parent. And parent also is a parent. Parent cannot play the role of a teacher. These are two different roles specifically designed for that specific person. They need to play the roles. Now, when it comes to the role of a parent, most of the parents, what I see today is where is the, I don't say, I would like to put it across as where is the gap? Why is this gap occurring? I don't call it as a failure. I don't call it as a failure because again, success and failure perception varies again, right? I would like to call it as a gap. Where is this gap coming from? Or why is the widening of the gap? Is because of habits or the schedule, what we make our children practice day in and day out. All of a sudden, parents realize that their children are grown up. Their children should have so-called discipline. Till today, I being in this field of education, I have failed to understand what does the term discipline mean. Because for some parents or for some individuals, if a child doesn't answer back, if the child doesn't question, that child is the most disciplined ones. For some, right? For some of them, if the child just sits in the class, follows the instructions of the teacher, writes what is written on the board, write neatly without opening his or her mouth, they are termed as disciplined kids in the class. But if you ask me as an individual, I don't I don't associate discipline with those aspects. Because for me, as an individual, as a teacher, as a parent, discipline means where the child has a schedule of his or her own and the child follows that schedule. That's discipline. That is where the child observes and make amendments in the schedule, and that is how the child learns. This is where most of the parents are finding the problem, because they are unable to invest the time to get that schedule in the children. Most of the time, it so happens we end up children in the school very sleepy in the very first period when the school begins at 8:30 or 8:45. They are literally drowsy, they are sleepy. When we talk to the children, we understand the sleeping patterns are different. One day the child sleeps at 9:30, the other day the child sleeps at 10:30, and the reason, cooking, there was dinner was not prepared, we had been out, we were on a movie night, multiple reasons. So schedule is very, very important. From the young age, the child needs to be put into that mold. Unfortunately, we don't put the children into that mold at a very young age, and we want them to be molded when they are already 11 or 12 years old, when already they have their own thought process, when they already have their own schedule. Because when we have not made a schedule to the child, okay, this is your play time, this is your TV time, please have a provision for everything. Always remember, we need to provide like a thali for children. You cannot say that I will give you only chapati and bhaji, I will not give you rice. It doesn't happen that way. Children love to have a thali. And this thali, you need to tell the children. Thali means there is specific quantity of everything, right from the dessert to the pickle. So children should have the time for everything. Study time, there is a play time, right? There is a me time, there is a TV time, there is a family time. That's how the schedule of the children needs to be done. But unfortunately today, uh, thanks to our busy professional lives or the life in the city where we are running behind multiple things, we are not investing that time in making this schedule a habit for our children. If the child is left for playing, the child is left for playing only. The playing can go for 1 hour, the playing can go for 2 hours, right? And the child comes back at his own wishes or whims, whatever time the child feels like. And when the child comes back, already there is a series of questions. Where were you? Why did you take so long to come? Now, come on, hurry up quickly. Come on, do this. The amount of stress what we are building to the child will definitely sit because you are telling the child to do the homework, but the child will not put his or her heart and soul into it and do it. All these things are achievable provided we have a schedule being framed for the children. Most of the time, because of a lack of schedule, I see children leaving their passion or their likes or their interests and hobbies in between itself. For example, a child who is really interested in cricket or badminton, I see them getting coached for 7 years, 8 years, constantly, rigorous coaching. And all of a sudden, when they come for, say, 8th or 9th or 10th, I ask the children, why are you not going for the classes? No, ma'am, I'm not going. Why? What's the reason? All these 8 years, you were able to manage your studies with proper grades and with all these things. Why all of a sudden you have stopped when you have come to 10th standard? My parents told that I am in 10th standard, I need to stop all these things. 10th standard, PUC, university, they are all a part of the life. They are not the life. I tell my students the same thing. They are all different stages of your life, but they don't completely make your life. Please hook on to the passion. Allow the children to follow their passion, what they are good at, because that boosts their self-esteem and that boosts their confidence, and that has an impact on their academics also. That I would like to tell you as an educator, because that I have seen that when a child is allowed to do what he or she likes, you can see a sense of responsibility growing in them. They become responsible, be it for their academics, be it for the classes or the interest what they are in. Unfortunately, what we do is we tell the children, this year only this year not this. If you see the impact, the child will also learn the same thing. First unit test, I will get you good marks, mama, in mathematics. I'll not be able to get you good marks in science. Because we also gave a choice to the child. No, either you choose badminton or you choose studies. The child will also give us a choice. I will be able to score in one subject this test. Another subject I'll not be able to manage. Because that's where the child has learned now from us itself, that if I have to get one thing in life, I have to compromise on the other thing. How about teaching our children that you can get everything in your life what you aspire, provided you have that passion, right? You have that passion and you have that dedication to do that. And that passion and dedication again comes through our actions as parents and teachers, because that is from where they are picking up, right? So effective parenting, if I have to sum up what effective parenting is all about and why parenting is an art and a skill, I would like to sum it up with this sentence, that parenting is definitely an art, definitely a skill. When I say parenting is an art, let's understand we need to have mastery over the art. And the mastery over the art comes with lot of wisdom, lot of experience. Beyond that, you need to be first open to learning. You need to be ready to learn new things. You need to be ready to work on your baggages. And that is where the beautiful forums or the courses like Redikall will help you to make yourself as a channel, right? We need to be a channel of pure love, pure acceptance for our children. Unless and until we are not the channels, we will never be able to reach our children. We may end up providing materialistic things to them, be it a bank balance, be it a car, be it a house. Yes, definitely we will provide all of them, but we will not make our children feel empowered, right? We will not make them ready to receive what they are meant to receive in life. So let's be open to learning. Let's take help from whichever possible sources we are able to get in, because that is how you are going to help your children as parents. You need to be just mere channels. Just be the channels. Things are going to happen for your children. We need not be behind the lives of our children. You do it. You need to do it. No, not necessary. Your child should know that you are a channel of pure love, affection, and you are there for the child. That trust, that confidence the child needs to have. I think that makes, if I have to define it as a successful parent or parenting, I think that is where you become a successful parent, right? Where the child feels that whatever point of life I am accepted by my parents, whatever I turn out to be, whether I become a manager, whether I become a clerk, whether I become any sabzi vyapari, my parents will still accept me for who I am. I think that's where the parenting comes. I thank all of you over here for giving me this chance to share my experience as a parent and as a teacher, being in this field for past 19 years. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Suma. This has been a brilliant presentation, I must say. And the passion in your voice and whatever you have explained about everything is something I think we will all carry. Some people may listen to the recording later, but honestly, you have brought forward the points so strongly as to how we need to build that trust, build that bond, and build that relationship with children. And thank you for bringing up that point that after Redikall, you realized how much you needed to change yourself for your own children. And I think with that influence, your school, your children, all who are being nurtured by you at your school are really going to be beautiful, what should I say, blooming into beautiful lotuses when they are finally out of your school. Thank you very much for this. Anybody has any questions which they'd like to ask Suma? It's open now. If you have, raise your hand.
Ma'am, can I ask a question?
I think the presentation was so clear. Yeah. Okay. Yes, Apurva.
Ma'am, I want to ask you is that because of this COVID and all, when children got the time to stay at home and they have access to WhatsApp, they have access to internet, games. So that has become a major part of their life because we are also working on with the electronic gadgets. They see us with the mobile. So when I try to tell my kid that, look, I'm using the mobile, I'm using the laptop, but I'm using it for work. I'm not playing games on it, but it's very difficult to convince them because they have got used to it. So if you can shed some light on that, ma'am.
That's a good question because this is a most common problem. What I have heard from the parents, unfortunately, again, COVID has become one of the reason for it. It is not that earlier kids were not using. Prior to COVID, it is not that kids were not using. In fact, more than us, they are the ones who are very active on social media. And they know what's happening in our lives more than what we know what's happening in our lives, right? They are that much active on the social media. They were active even prior to COVID it also, right? But the COVID, it paved a way for them. It became a more valid reason to use an electronic gadget. It made them very easy to say that I'm using this because there is some work given by the teacher or I have to attend a class, right? So definitely it's the greatest challenge for the parent. Now, if I have to let you know one way of how, because when you tell your child that I am using it for my work purpose, right? The child, there is a possibility of our children telling or replying back to us, yeah, I am also going to use for a purpose. My teacher has told me to research something. You can expect that answer from them as well, because when we are telling that we are using for a purpose, they will also find a purpose, whether the purpose is there or not. But the kids are smart, they will find a purpose to use it because they want to use it, right? So how about you want to use a gadget? Yes, fine, no problem. How about having a fixed time for the using of gadget? And when you're using a gadget, okay, this is the time for you. Let's say, for example, 15 minutes every day you get to use a gadget. And I'm not going to be doing the policing job at all. 5:15 to 5:30 in the evening is your gadget time. I will not be behind your life asking, what are you watching? What did you watch? Let me see the YouTube history, because most of the parents, we end up doing that, right? We give them that time, we term it as your time, but we don't allow them to have or cherish that as their time only. Now what happens in 15 minutes, what you have given, 7 to 8 minutes, the child has to invest on answering your question only what he or she is watching. How are they going to relish what they are watching? How about giving a limited time and telling the child what, see, that is where we need to work with children with confidence. The child should know when my mummy is telling me this is my playtime, that is completely my playtime. My mummy is not going to disturb me over there. So 15 minutes is your gadget time. I will not ask you what you are watching, but only thing I would like to tell you, if at all you watch something which you feel you don't, because there are several pop-ups which comes when you are watching a YouTube or many things which are not suitable for a particular age. You need to build that trust with your child. This is the time, 15 minutes. I will not disturb you. You watch whatever you want. How about we having a discussion on what you watched? Now here what happens, you are building a sense of responsibility also, because after 15 minutes, you are going to ask him or her what he watched. They have to explain it to you, right? So that means they are going to watch something sensible only. If at all they are going to watch a cartoon, that's fair enough. Okay, okay, what did you watch? Which cartoon? You know, I also loved to watch that when I was a child. That's how you can build that bonding, that interaction also. Now the child knows, okay, every day, 15 minutes, the child is at peace, or else they will be behind your life. Can I use mobile? Can I use laptop? Can I switch on the TV? It's a constant thing. And that is where the fight begins in the family, the frustration sets in. How about, as I told, this is your time, it's your time. I think that will work out.
Great. Yeah, Paramita, you have a question? Could you switch on your camera, please? Video? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Uh, Actually, my daughter is 7 years at present. Up to 6 years, she obeys my words. Like whenever I have to take bath or take meal, then go to school, come, then study, play, and we allow the timing of for taking lunch and dinner. That time you can do mobile. You can serve the mobile also. So up to 6 years, there are no problem at all. But whenever this 7 years is started, she try to do mobile all the time. And nowadays, she skip to brush her teeth. Whenever I'm going behind her with the paste in the brush, even sometimes she's skipping the meal, breakfast or dinner she want to take. And not only that, uh, like yesterday she came from the school. Well, I did not like to take bath. Even she disagreed to change her school dress. So everything, she's disobeying me. Not even that, I feel that the bonding with me is also become looser and looser. Like I try to give her suggestion or everything to do, which is not according to her. So she just goes to her grandparents' room. She knows where I can't enter, so she can do anything as according to her choice. She can see, like today, just after lunch to evening, she continue watching mobile. And now she is saying, um, I'm feeling drowsy, so I just take 2 pieces of chicken and just I slept. I don't
So what
need
is your
to
question,
take anything.
Paramita? What is
My
your
question
question?
is, how may I control her or make her mind in the same stage 1 year before, when she's obeying my words or doing everything, play and everything, but in a systematic, being disciplined.
Okay. I got your point, ma'am. May I?
Sure.
Yes. Ma'am, Paramita, right? I have a question for you. Why do you think you need to control your daughter?
Because she's going out of everything. Actually, I'm in stress or trauma that she's not eating, she's not taking bath, she's not studying.
I got
So
it. I
it's
got it.
day by day, it's not only
A challenge
stress,
for
it
you.
become trauma to me. Like I am getting the pain of waist, then lower abdomen, I'm feeling pain in back, even burning sensation on my thigh. Whenever I scold her, I feel my pain is increases also.
I got your point. I got your point. So when you say that, when you are feeling that you need to control your daughter, right? So you need to understand she is an individual, right? And all of us don't like to be controlled. None of us like to be controlled, right? Because when we
But
feel
in our childhood, we never be out of control.
then that's what I'm trying to tell you. See, all of us have come up in life with our own preset notions. We have our own baggages to carry, right? For example, if I had, let's say I had an authoritarian parent who did not allow me to speak at all, right? That means I had never got a chance to express my views and uh, thoughts, right? Now, if my kid is very outspoken, does that mean that she is not disciplined? Absolutely no. Just because my parents were authoritarian, right? I did not get a chance to speak, and I was submissive, right? I was submissive and I did not have the courage to stand for myself. Does that mean that my kid also needs to be like that? Now, we need to understand in this situation when you said that one term I would like to again pick up when you said you feel that you are not able to control your daughter. Let me focus on that again. The more you try to control her, the more she's going to drift away.
Like today, she did not take dinner, and yesterday also, I'm feeling that some guilty feeling is coming to me that I can't make her disciplined. Maybe it is harmful for her that without skipping meal, maybe injurious for her health if it is the daily practice.
I got your point. See, all these thoughts, what you have, it's all probability which is running on in your mind, right? For example, your child is skipping a meal of the day, right? You feel that that may have an impact on her health. It is again a probability, right? So that's again, you use the word guilt. You are guilty, right? You are guilty because she is sleeping empty stomach, right? Let's say, for example, you are feeling guilty that as a mother, I'm not able to take care of her. She's sleeping empty stomach. How about she falls sick tomorrow? You need to address your guilt, or you need to address your need to control your daughter. Then the things will definitely fall in place. Right? And these habits, when I say that's fair enough. If your kids tells you that I'm not in a mood to eat today, generally the mothers, including me, we feel that how you can sleep empty stomach. This will happen. Nothing is going to happen to the child if the child doesn't eat one meal in a day. And the child will be absolutely fine. 100% the glucose levels of the child will not fall down. I'm sure about it. That the child's energy level
But
is
in the morning also, she likes to skip milk.
Paramita,
Yes,
I think there are multiple issues over here. And if you want, you can talk to Suma privately. She can tell you and give you some guidance. But I can see, and not only I can see as a Redikall mentor, it's obvious that there is a lot of healing that you need to do for your own self, because there are a lot of thoughts, feelings, emotions that are still very strongly embedded inside you that need to be healed first. The more you learn to feel and surrender and let go of all that you are feeling, is when the healing will start and the shift is going to happen around you and within you. Right now, you are looking at everything with expectations, judgments, guilt, frustration, and maybe there is a little bit of anger. Maybe the influence of the elders in the house is also making you a little angry. So I would advise you, whoever your mentor is, get some guidance and healing done via them or via the open house that we have. And you can always talk to Suma separately, because I don't think we will get a solution over here right now. It can only be a guidance that
Thank you,
Suma can
ma'am.
give you. Suma, am I right? Is that okay? Is that okay that she contacts you, Suma? Separately?
Definitely not an issue.
Great, great. Thank you, Paramita. At least you brought out the anguish that you are feeling as a mother. And I think this is an anguish a lot of parents would also be feeling. So yes, as a platform, you have given us a reason to think about that also. So thank you for that, Paramita. Yeah?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you. Thank you. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Suma, for making it so interesting and so participative in terms of people's thoughts. And all I can say is your school is very lucky to have you as the principal. I wish you all the best. And thank you, everyone, today, and good night.